Pretty Claire here, the bar exam mentor, here today with our special bonus session on studying while on lockdown. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up on another screen so I can make sure that you are seeing me live. If you're hopping on in, go ahead and say hello. I want you to get the most of everything out of this session. It's going to be quick, it's going to be to the point, but I also want to make sure that you have everything you need to be able to study productively and efficiently while on lockdown, whether you are alone at home and dealing with the loneliness, or you have kids bouncing off of the walls or demanding partner or spouse. Either way, whichever situation that you find yourself in, I want to make sure that you have what you need before you leave this live session today, this bonus session. So if you're hopping in to watch us talk about studying while on lockdown, this whole COVID-19 thing, go ahead and say hello to me in the comments. I'd love to see you. Now, right after this, we're going to hop into our private Zoom room for our bonus laser coaching session. These are all bonuses that are added to you for being a part of this 5 day challenge. So, if you had any extra questions that went outside of what we covered during these 5 days, highly encourage you to bring it into the laser coaching session because there we are going to get deep into your mindset, specifically what's going on for you. And if you wanted to know more about our inner circle mentorship, then just stay on to the end and we're going to dive into the details of what that looks like and how you can become a part of our close and tight inner circle. But we are definitely screening members and applicants because we work so closely together and I pour into you that you have to be screened, right? We have to make sure that we're a good fit. It's a year-long mentoring program, and I'm going to be giving you so much. It has to be obvious that you can take the investment that's being made in you, that emotional investment and divine download and all that stuff that's being given, and do something with it. And so we are screening applicants. If you want to get in, then you'll have to have a chat with me so that we can discuss whether it's a good fit for you. Okay, so we're here. And if you're seeing me live, go ahead and say hello. I would love to know that you are here and that you are seeing me live. I'm looking for the live stream in the group to make sure that everyone's here. Okay, there we are. Great. Who's saying hello? Hey, Tyler. Oh my gosh. Hey, Vanessa. Hey, Sharita. I'm so glad that you're here. Oh, thank you guys for saying hi to me. Oh, all right, this is wonderful. If you know somebody who needs to be here and who is not, then go ahead and tag them in the stream and let's dive into how to make sure that you are able to stay focused and pay attention while you're locked in during COVID-19. Who is locked in with a family member besides themselves? Like, you're not the only one there. If you're here in the comments, can you drop me a comment and let me know? You're not the only one at home. There's other people there with you. You're fighting for bandwidth, right? Internet bandwidth, or they're interrupting you. You know, they have questions and requests of you that they would not normally have. Okay, tell me who is dealing with people at home, right, during this time. Let me know if that's you. I'd like to know. And what are you dealing with off of that? Okay. And while I wait for your answers to come in, I'm going to dive into exactly what it is that you need to start working on to make sure that you have your space, right? So, the first thing that we need to do to make sure that you can focus while we're supposed to be locked in is to create your study space. It needs to be a dedicated space, someplace where whenever you are there, they know, the people know that you are studying at that particular moment in time. Now you might need to do something a little extra, like put a sign on the door. My girl Thailand, you've already been implementing that. And Sharita, for children as well, I find the whole sign thing works very well. Thankfully, my son is pretty well versed with when I'm busy and when I'm not. And so usually if my door's closed, he knows not to interrupt me because he knows that there must be something going on. My door's closed and he hears my voice. He knows I'm probably live. But then there are some times that I forget to shut my door completely, and he takes it as a signal that he can talk with me. That's on me because we've already developed our system. So if you have your space, that's like, this is my study space. When I'm in here, very likely I'm studying and I'm not to be interrupted. If you have that space, then it already sets the tone that if a person is approaching you when you're in that space, they already know they're interrupting you. Okay. Now it's up to you whether you allow them interrupting you to be okay. So, with that, let me know if you have had a space already dedicated to your studying. If you're studying and you're working and you're to not be disturbed, you already have a dedicated space for that. Let me see in the comments if you have that. Shrita said, but he's self sufficient. Yes. And you know what? The self sufficient ones, like my child is very much so as well, but he is also, they need more attention because they're not getting it from the students, at school that they would have normally interacted with. So Thailand says you upgraded. She says I upgraded my door sign for people to keep out. All I need is a desk. A desk is very helpful. See if you could hop on Amazon or wherever and get yourself a desk or even a makeshift one. Adopt something from another room, but it works for getting you into the study mode. Um, for those of you here, I have a special gift for you. At the end of our talk, which is just going to be about another few minutes or so, I'm going to drop a special pre study meditation. It's a pre study meditation. It's meant to help you get yourself in the zone to study. And so the reason why I bring that up right now, Thailand, is because you're going to get a desk and you really need to have a desk or some dedicated study space because this meditation, it walks you through conjuring up your study space and just getting you really in the mood for studying. So stay on so that I can give you that pre-study meditation at the end. But you definitely want to have a dedicated study space for to signal the brain and the body that you're about to go back into studying. Right? It's just like with the sleep thing, how you're supposed to have a sleep routine to signal your body that you're about to go to sleep. And somebody in our journey program last year, when we spoke about sleeping and before the bar, she's like, no wonder I was falling asleep whenever I did my MBE questions because she used to do her MBE questions before going to sleep, and she actually linked falling asleep with doing MBE. And so she was falling asleep while she was doing her multiple choice questions, like during study time and on the test. She would have to fight drowsiness because she had done that night after night after night and signaled her body whenever she's looking at these multiple choice questions, it's time to go to sleep. Okay, so be careful what you associate with the different life things that you're doing. You have a specific routine that you go through before you start studying. You sit at your desk, your dedicated space, or you have a specific routine that you go through before you go to sleep. Set your routine now so that when it's the night before the bar, you can have an easier time getting to sleep, right? Does anybody find that interesting? Let me see here if you find that interesting. Yes. Okay, Sharita. So, Sharita, let me know when you're taking the exam because it looks like you're going to be in the middle of a move. And when we're moving houses, that's something to take into consideration while we're studying and such. Okay. So, have a dedicated study space, have a signal between you and the people around you so they can know when you are to not be interrupted. This third one is kind of off the books advice, but who here is familiar with the five love languages? I would like to know who knows about the five love languages. Let me know down below. I'm gonna take a sip of my very, very tasty tangerine mango flavored water here. Keeps the water intake up with some flavor. So let me see who here knows about the five love languages. I would love to know if you know about the five love languages. I may have to open this up wider so that I can see it, so I can see all the comments that are coming in. Okay. So let me know if you are familiar with the five love languages. I would love to know. Okay. Oh, this is saying five bar exam pitfalls to avoid. We need to change what the title of this live stream is because that's not what's going on right now. Okay. So, if you are familiar with the five love languages, then I want to let you in on something. I was helping someone to get past the idea that she was being a bad mom by not being present for her children. And the issue with that was that she felt like to be there for her children, she needed to spend hours of time every day. And first of all, the one daughter didn't even want to spend hours. Like she was in her room on her phone texting. She wasn't trying to spend time with her mama like that. And then I could imagine that the other daughter would have really liked it if she could have more one-on-one time with mama, that it would mean so much more to her, and it would take a whole lot less time, right? Mama would have to give less time in order for the youngest daughter to feel that specialness that you get when you have your mama's undivided attention. And um and so I had to speak with her, and it was like, first we had to talk about the whole I don't want to be a bad mother thing. That's a big huge thing. I have a video on YouTube about motherhood and the bar exam. It's a big huge thing when we're concerned about being bad parents while we're studying for the bar. But the next thing was actually a very practical solution that, once you get the emotions out of the way, then you're able to really pay attention to the real solution. Instead of running around trying to be the person who doesn't make a mistake and doesn't act like a bad mom, you implement real solutions. And this real solution had a lot to do with five love languages. So I asked her if she knew her children's love languages, because she could be meeting them where they need her emotionally. She could be meeting them where they were needing her emotionally, and actually giving them their fill, emotionally speaking, without it taking a lot of time away from her studies. So instead of thinking that you have to take all this time and go play Legos with your son or go do this, go do that, find out what your child's actual love language is and give that to them, right? Or your parents' love language. Maybe they just keep asking you to take time and go with them on the essentials grocery run, right? Because they're trying to find somehow some way to spend time with you. Their love language is actually words of affirmation. And if you took a couple minutes every day to just tell them how much you appreciate them, they wouldn't need to be carving out 5 hours of time with you in hopes to get a compliment in that space of time. Is that like a new idea to you? Does that give you any ideas? Is that a new idea? Does that give you any ideas? Let me know. I would love to know if that's giving you any new ideas right now, right? So instead of like doing it the way that you think you need to do it, maybe the reason you're getting interrupted is just they need some of your love, and you've always given it by accident in the past. This time, make it intentional. Find out their love language and give it to them in the way that they very readily receive love. And that way, you can save time, right? And they feel your love immediately, instead of you like bumbling around spending time, and then maybe somehow they'll feel the love in something that you happen to do by accident. Shorten that space of time and actually be intentional with how you love them. Do that like emotional, download, right? And then get back to your studies. And you can build that in once you can identify what their love language is. So one easy way to identify what someone's love language is to just think about what they complain about the most, right? Think about what they complain about the most, and also think about the times that they were happiest. It took me a minute to figure out my mother's love language was gifts until I examined how much I complained about us not spending time together. And she was like, I should be perfectly happy because she gave me all this stuff. She worked so hard to give me all this stuff. And that's when I started investigating love language and such, that's when it dawned on me that for her, love means giving people everything they ask for and giving them gifts. And I then also remember that she kept every single gift that was given to her, even if it was decades old. And she was always giving me gifts, and those things didn't matter to me. I would have rather a private birthday dinner than all these gifts. And so that's how you can start to tell like your love languages and what somebody else's might be, and how to just give them what they need. This applies to parents, partners and spouses, and children all the same. It saves a lot of time if you could just love people the way that they need to be loved, right? And you can get back to your studies. To piggyback on that, use the Pomodoro technique. All right. That's going to be the last tip that I'm giving you here today. As you can see, this is a short session. It's a Saturday afternoon. We're going to be doing our live coaching session in at 4 o'clock. So in another 45 minutes Eastern time. And so we're going to give you these tips and hope you can apply them, starting today. Some people apply these things right away and they see results right away. So hopefully you can apply these tips starting today and move yourself further, and stay on until the end so I can give you that study preparation meditation. It's a really useful tool to get you ready to study. So let me see other comments that we have in here. Okay, so some of you know about the love languages, and you're going to go ahead and work on applying those. Okay, great. So the last thing that we want to talk about, I wish the title of this thing would change, but the last thing we want to go ahead and talk about is the Pomodoro technique. And the reason why the Pomodoro technique is important is not only does it allow you to stay more productive all the way throughout your studies, right? You are allowed to stay more productive throughout your studies because you're taking breaks, you know, evenly spaced breaks between studying, and then you take your break and you go do something different. It can help you stay healthy by, moving around and getting some exercise. Maybe you decide when you take your 15-minute break, you're going to take a walk around the block or something. It's a way to build in some easy habits that might have been hard for you to implement otherwise, but because you have to take these 15-minute breaks anyway, you go ahead and you couple it with a habit that you wanted to start, right? So maybe you wanted to start exercising while at home, but you couldn't really get yourself to do it. Well, if you're doing the Pomodoro technique, then now you have a 15-minute break every hour where you need to go do something different. Okay. Um, if that's how you want to just go ahead and like stuff your dinner or your lunch into those 15 minutes. I don't recommend it, but that's one way that you can use the 15 minutes. You can use those extra 15 minutes to go take care of things around the house that are getting neglected while you study, right? So, in addition to allowing your brain the break to process what you've just taken in, you actually are getting things done that need to get done that would normally get neglected, okay? And you're fitting them both in pretty much at the same time so that you don't finish studying and then see this big, huge mess that's got to get taken care of. Another benefit to using the Pomodoro technique when you're studying locked down at home, especially with kiddos around the house, or if you're alone, is that you can use that 15 minutes to check in with someone. Seriously. So you don't actually have to be ignoring people or like out of people's lives or whatever during this bar study time. You could actually be using the time to call up a friend and be like, "I'm just taking a break from my studies. I wanted to check in with you." Okay, and let it be okay to end that call in 15 minutes. You can also use the time to go out of your study quarters and check on your child, check on whomever. Give a loving touch to your spouse because maybe their love language is touch, right? You can do that. And when you do that, what you'll find is that they need you less because you're feeding them their love language every 15 minutes. In fact, they're feeling more loved while you've been studying than they ever felt before you started studying for the bar. Isn't that miraculous? Let me see some comments. Doesn't that? So, Tylin, if you find 45 minutes doesn't work, then just sit for 35 minutes, get up, go around for 10, 15 minutes, come back. You don't have to sit for the whole 45 minutes. Just do up to 35 minutes if that's you. Then go around for 10 minutes and come back, right? You can break it up as much as you need to break it up. And if you are using your learning superpower strategies to study, you will be more into your studies because people that have like been working with me, mentoring with me, what they find is that because they're using the strategies that go with their learning superpower, they actually get lost in their studies. They're actually enjoying themselves. They get into flow, right? And I know this is a higher level mindset thing, but we get higher level when you get in the program. We go into some really higher level stuff when it comes to your mind, but they get into flow. It's this Zen state that you get into when you are fully engaged in what you're doing. You're not worried about getting it wrong. You're not worried about anything outside. You're enjoying it and it's slightly challenging. That's when you enter the state of flow. Flow states have been studied, and it's been found that the same THC receptors that are there and released for, THC, marijuana, whatever, exist and are activated when you are in a state of flow. It literally gets you high. And what I've found is that when people use their learning strategies that support their brain, the way their brain likes to work, and they go to their studies and they've taken care of the mindset stuff, the stuff that makes you feel bad about studying and bad about the bar. We've taken care of those things, so those things are out of the way. They're able to enter into a state of flow when they sit down to study is actually enjoyable. That's what people come back with. My clients come back with after we've worked together for about a month. like I actually enjoy studying. It completely changes the whole paradigm for them. Okay. We work on the mind so that the outside stuff that you have to do becomes easy. Okay. So, all that being said, let me get some feedback. Tell me what you've picked up from this. Has this helped you? Has it been helpful? We covered these 4 tips. Let me see if I can remember them well. Create your study space so that it signals to yourself and everybody when you're in that space, you're about to study. Create your communication signal, whether there's a sign on the door or the door being closed or something that lets people know. Find out the love language of your people in the house so that you can feed them their love in the way that they need it to feel and hear it. Incorporate the Pomodoro technique, and in those breaks that you take from study, you can take care of the house or take care of loving on your loved ones or whatever needs to be done, or feeding your own heart by calling a buddy. Okay, so use the Pomodoro technique as well, and and then we touched on some mindset stuff here, where if you work together, to clear out the mindset barriers that are keeping you from enjoying your life, you can actually get to a place where you enjoy studying. You can actually get there. You can be in a state of flow. You got questions for me on this? I would love to see if you have any questions on this, and I'm going to drop in the chat. I'm going to drop the link to download the study. So here it is, guys. This is the study meditation. And then we're going to get off of here. And then in about 40 minutes or so, I'm going to see you all at the 4 o'clock laser coaching session that we're having all together as a group. So that's in about 40 minutes from now. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. The first 5 participants, please come on with your cameras on, but the first 5 participants will get coached live. And here is the study meditation. Let me make sure it's the right, because I'm doing it from memory here. So I want to make sure it's the right one. So let me go ahead here and I'm waiting for your questions while you wait for my link for the study preparation. I'm waiting for your questions. If you have any questions with regards to this, any questions? No, we're good on questions. It looks like we're good on questions, unless if there's like a really huge delay here. It looks like we're good on questions. So there goes the study preparation meditation. The talk is going to be on Zoom, and there's a link there. That way we can see each other's faces. And that's why your camera will be on, so I can finally see your faces, right? I love seeing the comments coming through the feed. And it's also very beautiful when we get to just like see each other's faces. Like that warms my heart so much. And I'm so looking forward to seeing your face. So it is on Zoom. Go ahead and download Zoom. And then the email I sent out around 12:18 or so has a quick join in link so that you can just click that link and it'll take you straight there. Show up, 5 minutes before or sometime before so that you can hold your place in the queue, because the first 5 people that show up in that list in the waiting room, I'm going to write their names down and you'll be the ones that get coached live. Okay. That's what I have for you today. I hope that this was very helpful. If this was helpful to you, please do me a favor and drop it in the comments how this session today has helped you. And hopefully, those who come along and wondering whether they want to watch this video or not, they'll see your comments and they'll realize, oh, this was pretty helpful. Let me go ahead and watch this too. So please drop me a comment letting me know how helpful this was for you, and send me some hearts and thumbs up and kisses as we say goodbye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining, and I'll talk to you guys in a few minutes in the Zoom room.